Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to Umineko. We last left off with Battler, talking about, let's back up a little bit. He's talking about if we try counting up the people who live till the last twilight, even though they die in the end, stuff like that. I think Battler's about to figure something out here. I'm the only one. Battler's the only one that's made it to the end every time. Out of every, time together, he's the only one that's made it every time. Well, that's good. That would suck if we were our own culprit.
Oreってことになる。こいつが非分殺人を起こす唯一の理由は、俺に見せつけるためってことになる。
Every time Beto brags that she chooses to kill who to kill next with a roulette. However, I'm the only one she never kills. Though she does kill me in the end, she leaves me be until the last moment. In all of these supposedly random games, there's only this one unchanging constant.
こいつは俺に復讐を
Revenge against what?
俺に恐怖を味わわせるために非分殺人を行っているというのか。
それは違います。恐怖を味わわせるのが目的ではありません。誰かに復讐するためのものでもありません。
なら、やはり非分殺人には意味なんてないことになる。非分の謎も無意味、対となる非分殺人も無意味。
I wouldn't say that. That seems like a lot of work to put into something that doesn't matter.
X イコール Y イコール0。だが、その無意味をこいつは明白に俺に対して見せつけている。無意味なことと同価値の何を俺に求めているんだ。わからねえ。考えれば考えるほどにこいつが何を考えてるのか俺にはわからね
え。Beatrice, the fickle witch who committed a meaningless, worthless serial murder. Even the epitaph's riddle, which that witch made into a condition to suspend the serial murders, is meaningless, immaterial. And she's thrusting this meaningless, immaterial thing in my face. What is it that you want from me? Or else, what is it that you want to give to me? My idea that Beto must have been taking revenge on me has already been denied by Virgilia's Red Truth. Both X and Y. Both the epitaph murders and the epitaph's riddle mean nothing to Beto. X equals Y equals 0. However, since she's thrusting that in front of me, it must have some meaning. She showed us the scales representing, if you don't solve the epitaph, I'll carry out the epitaph murders. In other words, neither the epitaph murders nor the epitaph's riddle have any significance by themselves. However, it becomes meaningful when she puts both halves on the scales and thrusts it out before us. No, before me. In other words, it should be like this. X equals 0. Y equals 0. X plus Y is greater than 0. So basically, the sum of the two is greater than the individual parts. A scale with meaninglessness. Weightless things on both sides. However, it is weight itself, and gives the rest meaning.
まるで遊びだな。子供のじゃんけんみたいだ。
You know what it reminds me of, actually, now that I'm thinking of it? I mean, there's a lot of things, but I remember seeing an experiment once when I was younger about taking a set of scales, like they're talking about, and having 2 helium balloons. Well, not helium, just air-filled balloons, let's say that. One of them filled and one of them empty. And what happens? Well, the filled one takes up more weight. Even though there's all this air around it anyway, the air inside of it has weight as well. Which I always found to be fascinating. Rock, paper, scissors is an extremely familiar method to randomly determine a winner and a loser. You sometimes bet some sort of privilege on the outcome. But kids often do rock, paper, scissors just to play, without betting anything in particular. Unless you bet something, you have nothing to gain or lose except happiness and frustration. In other words, the two sides of the scale, both winning and losing, are immaterial. However, the very act of seeing which way it will tip is the reason kids play rock, paper, scissors. After all, the kids are enjoying the communication that surrounds the game. And they aren't purely interested in the value of winning or losing. They aren't overly concerned about who wins and who loses.
それじゃベアトにとって非分殺人は成功してもしなくてもいいものってことになっちまう。
That's a really good explanation, Battler.
まるでその過程そのものを楽しんでいるかのようにさ。
And that seems highly likely.
以前の俺なら無意味な殺人を繰り返す非道な魔女だと決めつけこいつを罵っただろうさ。だが今の俺にはそうとは思えない。
ありがとう。だから赤をもう一つ与えましょう。ベアトは快楽目的で殺人を行っていることはありません。
So Bidoo's cackling was not in any way connected to the murder she was committing? She didn't do it for pleasure, and she didn't do it to make anyone feel fear. Since she has nothing to gain, she doesn't care whether the epitaph murders succeed or fail. It's almost like a random game kids would play.
違う。意味があるんだ。こいつには。
意味とは何ですか？
わからない。天秤の両端は無価値だ。こいつにとってこの天秤はしっかりと重みあるものなんだ。
In the previous game, she urged me to remember my sin of 6 years ago. Could that have been meaningless too? No. That definitely isn't the case. I clearly remember the serious gaze Bidoo had back then. Unfortunately, I didn't have a clue at the time. When she saw that, she was horribly dejected. That's right. At that time, I'm sure she even went so far as to say that the crime wouldn't have occurred if I hadn't come.
意味はあるんだ。こいつにとっては意味が。そしてそれを俺に求めてる。
I laughed softly and poked Bidoo lightly on the head, then patted her head.
ラブレターには次からは好きですと短く書くことを勧めるぜ。あまり回りくどくて難解だと意味が伝わらねえぞ。こいつが何を考えてるのか。だが俺は考えることをやめないぜ。まだまだチェス盤をひっくり返せ。お前の思考をたどる旅を。俺は絶対にくじけないからな。
It's all pretty interesting, actually. And I'm sure it's all dreadfully important. I'll have to think about that some more. Battler did nothing but gaze lazily out the window. The fighting between the relatives continued without end. At first, the relatives had crowded around the study. However, no matter how much they knocked, the master of the study did not answer even once. Eva and several others said that they should open the door with the second key, the one Genji held. However, in a flash of brilliance, Natsuhi once again, was screaming at them, "Now he needs to sleep! And you're ruining it with all your yelling!" Natsuhi said that Kinzo had been in a particularly bad mood and had taken back the key he'd previously given to Genji, meaning that he now had both keys himself. She claimed that this was the reason they couldn't open the door. After she promised to let them meet Kinzo tomorrow morning no matter what, they finally returned to the dining hall. But of course the argument continued on even after they returned to the dining hall. Eva's group wanted a lot of cash very soon, and they were trying to threaten Krauss somehow and make him pay up. Apparently, Battler's solving of the epitaph threatened Krauss's position as the next head, which gave the others a huge tailwind. On the other side, Krauss and Natsuhi based their argument on the claim that it had never been specified that the ownership of the gold would be handed over to the person who solved the epitaph. It hadn't been hidden gold, but just Kinzo's stockpile. And it was still Kinzo's property, which meant that it was only natural that it be distributed only after Kinzo's death with the rest of the inheritance. After they claimed this, Eva's group once again started demanding that they be allowed to see Kinzo. It's probably been obvious from the beginning. The sibling fight can only be settled by Kinzo. It was obvious that this confrontation was between Eva's group, which wanted cash fast, and Krauss, who was hiding his lack of funds but still didn't need money right away. As he listened vaguely to this exchange, Battler marveled at how, despite their usual affluent airs, they were surprisingly deep in debt.
それもさっき聞いた話ではないかね。もういい。休止しよう。お互い一度した話を延々と繰り返しているだけだ。
According to the clock, it was almost midnight. It certainly was a perfect time for a break. The atmosphere relaxed just a bit.
同感や。お互い一服するのも悪くないで。ほな以後は議事を取りながらにせんか。言った言わないはもうごめんや。
まったくだわ。下の根も乾かないうちにそんなことは言ってないなんて。平気で言い出す兄さんとの会議に議事録は必須だものね。
文字じゃ書くのも手間だし、インチキだっていくらでもできるわ。
そうだな。兄貴、こいつは動くのか。オーディオセットかい。なるほど。それならば議事を手書きせずに済むし、捏造もできんね。互いにとって公平だ。
勝手にいじらないように。当主様の大切な音楽テープですよ。
He's gonna be needing to listen to those when he's 6 feet under. The dignified tape set had a sense of weight to it, which matched this majestic dining hall perfectly. On pleasant Sunday mornings, it would sometimes be used to play famous tapes or records. However, right now, it was the most neutral and impartial conference record keeper around. Rudolph fished randomly around the cassette rack, searching for a blank tape. And every time he found some tape with sophisticated music, he would chuckle at how pompous it was.
失礼します。お呼びでしょうか。
休憩することになったの。申し訳ないんだけど、何か飲み物を用意してもらえないかしら。ビスケットみたいなものがあってもいいかもね。
かしこまりました。すぐにご用意いたします。
あとごめんなさい、風邪薬あるかしら。さっきから熱っぽくて。
なら無理は良くないな。休みたまえ。
ローザがいいと思うなら好きに休めば。私ならこの大事な会議中に風邪くらいじゃ休まないけどね。
そうかね。私は遠慮なく休ませてもらうよ。夏日、私たちも少し休まないかね。
はい、あなた。
Sensing that he meant to have a strategy meeting, Natsuhi stood up. Even if this hadn't been the case, she was so desperate to get out of the room, even for a moment, that she'd have taken any excuse. Krauss and Natsuhi left the dining hall, and the tension in the room truly relaxed.
バトラ君もお疲れ様。最悪の気分でしょ。大人の階段だと思って諦めて。
俺はいつまでここでボサーっとしてりゃいいんすかね。
さあ、バトラ君は私たちのおみこしだからね。眠い？
古典の授業程度には。
今夜はどうせお父さんは現れないでしょう。クラウス兄さんたちが戻ってきたら、バトラ君はもう戻っていいかと提案してみるわ。
よろしく頼むぜ。
A light knock, and the faint sound of china clinking together could be heard.
失礼します。お茶をお持ちいたしました。
Shannon and Cannon had come by with a serving cart. It feels like so long since I've seen them, not dead. The pleasant smell of black tea had the effect of relieving a bit of tension.
よ、話は聞いてるか？
何のお話でしょうか？
僕たちは何も。
よしなさいルドルフ。教える必要は何もないわ。
僕たちは家具で親族会議のお話には関心ありません。
そうね。
Just imagine Kinzo just yelling at the walls, saying that the furniture's listening to him.
それが賢い返事だわ。
深夜勤なの？大変ね。
そういうお役目ですので、ご用命いただけて嬉しいです。
そうかもしれんな。することもなくぼんやり起きてる方がしんどいもんや。わしも下積み時代に倉庫番とかやったことあるんやけどな。ただ起きてるだけでもこれがとにかく辛いんや。戦争直後はな、物資泥棒とかゾロゾロおってな。警察も頼れん時代でとにかく物騒でな。
Hideyoshi was particularly proud of how he had started with nothing and built up assets by illegally diverting goods from the American army. Once the subject came up, Hideyoshi tended to get pretty talkative. The relatives who knew this were greatly relieved to see that a perfect sacrifice had come up.
バレたら一大じゃ。アメさんは怖いで。牛肉食っとるからパワーも桁違いや。捕まったら最後銃殺刑かデスバイハンギングや。わかるか？デスバイハンギング。いや、それでな、わしは思うたんや。肉や、肉や。日本人はもっと肉を食わなあかん。そしてわしは胃袋をつかむ商売を始めなあかんという典型を受けたんや。
それは大変なお仕事ですね。
よしなさいよあなた。戦後生まれにいくら話しても当時の苦労なんか伝わらないわよ。
ん？またわしの悪い癖が出てしもうたな。すまんすまん。
あなたたちもお茶をしていきなさいよ。たまには自分たちがどういう紅茶を入れてるか、その下で学ぶのもいい勉強になると思うわ。
いえ、 結構です。お気遣いなく。
Chairs can't drink
少し付き
tea.
合ってくれよ。大人ばかりで俺も窒息しそうなんだ。
そら次期当主のバトラ様のご命令だぞ。そこに座って俺たちとしばらくお茶しろい。それで最近の出来事とか趣味とか見てるテレビとか若者の今の流行りとかそういう話をしやがれ。俺たちの勉強になるからな。
明暗ね。ほら二人とも座って。そして話題に飢えた私たちの生贄になってちょうだい。
What a great choice of words. Sacrifices.
そうやな。若い子と話をしよう思たらキャバクラでもいかんとこの年では難しいわ。
いつまでぼさっと突っ立ってんのよ。ルドルフが座れと命令したわ。座りなさいよ。私も許可してあげるわ。
After getting Eva's permission, Shannon and Cannon looked at each other and finally obeyed, nervously. For a while, the two were pounded by questions and became the relatives' playthings. Do you like sports? No, chairs can't like sports. At that time, a reserved knocking sound could be heard. All of the servants tended to knock in a similar manner, so no one noticed anything strange. However, Shannon and Cannon turned around with surprised looks on their faces. The servants here today included the two of them, Genji, Kumasawa, and Goda. Goda had the midnight shift at the guest house. Kumasawa had gone to bed in a spare room in the guest house. They were here, so Genji was the only person left. But they knew very well that Genji wouldn't knock like that.
誰だ。
Who knocks?
開いてるぜ。勝手に入れよ。
Rudolph didn't recognize the knock either. When he asked who is it, it became apparent that no one could tell whose knock it was. After that, the same knock knock repeated just once more. Could it be that someone had their hands full and was asking that the door be opened for them? A slightly odd feeling began to encompass the room. The sound of the large clock in the hall could be heard. It was a sign that October 4th had ended and October 5th had begun. Let's go back in time a bit. At this time, Krauss and Natsuhi were a ways off, in a deserted corridor on the second floor.
もうそれしか手はないのかね。
Yep, we'll have to commit mass genocide of the family members.
はい。明日一日、同じ手はもはや通用しないでしょう。これ以上を渋れば、エヴァさんたちはお父様を監禁しているなどと主張して、
What are they gonna do? Call the police? Well, while there's a giant typhoon happening?
これが限界です。バトラ君が黄金を発見するのが全く想定外でした。あれさえなければなんとかうまくやりくりできる筋書きを考えていたのですが。
私がかけるといつもこうだな。いつも想定外のことが起き、絶対確実だった話がおかしくなる。
明日の朝、お父様の部屋が空っぽであるということにします。源氏と口裏を合わせ、早朝に森へ出かけていくのを見たと言わせましょう。
Ah, the old father ran away trick. Works every time.
もしそう、エヴァたちが素直に受け入れるとは思えない。
Except when it doesn't.
客も承知です。しかし、もうそれしか手がありません。
そのようなことをすれば、エヴァたちは疑わしいと騒ぎ立てるだろう。エヴァたちは金をせしめるためなら、なりふりなど構わない。 それこそおかしな雑誌とつるんで私の信用にダメージを与えてくるかもしれない。
ダメージで済むではありませんか。万一にもお父様の秘密を知られたらそれどころでは済みません。
明日一日をギリギリまで粘ってからでも遅くはない。もしも明日を無事に乗り切ることができれば私たちは何も失うものはないのだ。焦って失踪という切り札を切る必要はない。
彼らがお父様を監禁していると騒ぎ立て、そこに失踪していたと返すのですか。その方がはるかに疑いを招きます。もうお父様にこれ以上は無理です。
落ち着きたまえ。エヴァたちの毒気を浴びすぎて冷静を失っただけだ。あの書斎に入る鍵は2本しかない。そしてその2本はここに。君がだから誰も入ることなどできん。あの扉は特別製だ。彼らが倉庫からどんな工具を持ってこようともびくともせんよ。
そういう物理的な問題ではありません。
だから焦るな。落ち着け。なんなら君は熱を出したことにして寝込んでいてくれればいい。
No pretending there. She always has a fever.
私が全て乗り切ってみせる。
あなただけに任せられません。私も最後まで戦います。
When Natsuhi could no longer hold back the tears brought on by her fierce emotions, Krauss held her gently. Just how long had it been since the last time she'd felt warmth from her husband's compassion?
頭痛がひどいのだろう。君がそういうシワを眉間に浮かべるときはいつもそうだ。
あなた。
She had come to think that her husband could never guess the way she felt. But when it came to times like this,
失踪という切り札は最後の最後まで待とう。殿下の報道と同じだよ。抜かないうちが花だ。大事なのはいつでも抜けるという心構えではないかね。
それは分かっています。
その切り札を私に預けてくれんかね。もちろん最後の瞬間の責任は全て私が取る。君とジェシカは巻き込まん。
それはどういう意味ですか。
後ろ宮家が滅ぶ時、その瓦礫に潰されるのは私だけで十分だ。台風が過ぎたら離婚届を準備しよう。それに捺印し君に預けておく。内緒で君の名義にしてある財産がある。さらにそれに慰謝料を加えれば君とジェシカは不自由なく暮らせるはずだ。
嫌です。私の墓碑に刻むべき名は後宮夏日です。どうか最後の瞬間までご一緒に。たとえあなたが後宮家最後の当主であろうとも、夏日を最後までどうか当主夫人であなたの妻でいさせてください。
Krauss's existence was based solely upon the trust and power of his assets as a financial fixer. If either of those weakened, nothing would remain. If they used the trump card of Kinzo's disappearance, they would lose one of these two essential supports. It was like offering your right arm in exchange for your neck being cut. It was probably better than losing your neck, but you still might die from the blood loss. And even on the off chance that you did survive, you would have to bear a heavy wound that wouldn't heal for the rest of your life. Krauss was prepared even for death. Natsuhi understood this, buried her face in Krauss's chest and cried.
お取り込み中
I don't think it's going to get that bad. I don't think the family's just going to come in with pitchforks and, torches and, burn your house down kind of thing. Yeah, we'll stop there for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time for some more Umineko. Bye!